Wait, I still have music on, don't I? Darn it. Oh no, I stopped it. Good. Good for me. Good boy, Rob. Um, Turn this down a little bit, but you can hear my neighbors, i.e., my family, in the other room talking. This is strangely enough. This is when they're the loudest. The whole day. This is when they're the very loudest. It just is that way. I just accept it. I don't complain about it anymore. So while we're waiting for people to trickle in, I should probably mention a couple things. So command box is nearing 1.0. It's it doesn't look like it, but so yes, the bento box of commanders. That should be maybe I should make that our new thing. I've been working on this over my holiday time. So yeah, here it is, command box. The command box composite commander. So it's a Go project. I'm looking forward to that. If anybody more senior out there wants to get involved, we're going to be looking for people to work on this project. In fact, I have a number of projects that are out there for those who want to be involved in whatever form. I have a lot of Go development projects. And I mean, there's other stuff you can participate in. It's just like somebody, I mean, just yesterday, somebody's like, what do I do? I don't know what to do. And like, well, why don't you pick up an open source project you're interested in and work on that? So I'm going to put a plug in for open source in general and that one. Everybody here, this would be the part where I would take roll. Like, okay, raise your hand. I don't know how many people are here. Right now, it still says there's only 0 viewers. So I imagine that's going to change. It's possible. Well, it says I'm live, so I guess I must be live. There we go. Here comes a bunch of people. Pretty experienced to go. Would any of those projects be beginner friendly? Oh yeah, we have lots of them. The problem is I actually have to before we get going with the Go projects, I have a number of things that I need to do to improve. Can help with some of those. Yeah, that'd be great to get you guys in there. Thank you for the raising of hands there. My failure is that I am not really proficient at leading open source projects, so I haven't even known that I've had pull requests out there. So I have to set it up so that it sends me a notification. It says, okay, you got people that are contributing, because there's like 3 or 4 PR requests that came in like last month, and I just bulldozed right over them and did them. And I didn't even see them, and I hope the people that contributed didn't get upset, because that was a lot of work for them to do that, and I apologize for that. So I'm learning a lot about, managing open source projects as opposed to just doing open source things and being a participant. I mean, I've been doing them a lot with people that I mentor, and we kind of 1 or 2 of us together, usually which, hey, Philo, we would have like, one of us would be doing something, another one, we both have access to it. So we did the whole, pull request kind of idea. So we haven't even got to Git and GitHub. It is on the schedule though. So let's actually do a quick review of the schedule. As you well know, I am not in any particular hurry here, nor am I going to stick with a set number of days. People ask me how long is it going to take to finish the boost. I'm going to say it's at least 100 days, probably more, but I'm not going to put a number on it, because I just don't know on any given day how the group's going to go, what organically is going to emerge. And frankly, I think a lot too much over formulating of all that can really stifle the learning. So I want it to be a little bit organic. And so that means that, we're going to cover loops today. We had on the calendar, we were going to do loops last time. There is some stuff that we missed last time, though, that I really want to cover today. So I don't know how that's going to work. What I'll do is I'm going to do all the loop content, and I might circle back, and if we have enough time, do case. So the case statement is a flow sort of modifier, like akin to if else and all this logic. We covered all that on, day 17 last time. And there's video on that. And I went through it very fast. Again, the purpose of the boost, I'm going to say it every time. The purpose of the boost isn't to teach you, is to help you understand what you don't know, so you can go learn it on your own and find out. And maybe suggest some ways or things that you haven't thought of that are not particularly easy to uncover on your own. That is the purpose of the boost. It's not to give you all the knowledge. So given that, I went ahead and added a line item for case. So make sure you learn case. Remember, the homework was to read the whole test command page. If you don't understand the test command page, forget about shell scripting, period. You're just going to be tormented without knowing it for a long time. So the next thing here we're going to go to is loop signals and events. All right. So, hey, Maddie. So So we're gonna go to some other stuff here. So coming up to next week, I actually broke this out into sections. So let me show you that. Let's actually go look at it in the web page again. github.com/rdxrob/boost. Okay, and if you go all the way down the bottom, you can see the README of this. And I did something different. I don't know if it's going to stick this way, but I went through and I updated sections. So I have actually I don't think I've committed this yet. Did I? I thought I did. Maybe I didn't. Oh wow. Oh wow. I forgot to push it. I'm so bad. I'm a bad person. I'm a bad person. Okay, now look at it. How about that? Oh man, I scared everybody away all the way down to 14 viewers like that. So, but first, okay, so here's the revised thing. So this is kind of a breakdown of the days. Get on Docker Linux container. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Survive the Linux command line for now. This is stuff there. Install software from package manager. Got it. Day 9. And then there's the learning VI and the rest. There we go. We have a lot of stuff here that you can go look at. So yeah. All right, let's jump in and we'll do functions and procedures. Just add 1 second. All right. I think that did the job.
Oh, mine just.
Can you please talk soft? We can.
Having a terrible time.
I know. The whole group can tell. Just keep it down a little bit. You don't need to pay money to learn to code at all. Most you should pay for a laptop to code is maybe $300-400 if that's really your goal. And it's not secretly to get a new gaming rig, which everybody likes to do that. All right, so let's just jump right in. I mean, are we really down to 14 viewers today? Is that what we're looking at? I guess it's Memorial Day, so there's not gonna be anybody here today. Well, they can all watch the video, so I'm just gonna go through it anyway. I've been trying to wonder if the audience is gonna get bigger. I'd hate people always say, "Oh, I'm late." But yeah, let's go ahead and just go for it. You see 26? Okay, then my thing's just messing up. All right. Great. I try to get at least 20 or so. Yeah, let's do it. Let's just go for it then. So the first thing on the boost is for today is loops. Now we talked about loops already. I'm going to introduce you loops on the command line. Let me put a marker in here. So yeah, put a marker here. Stream marker. All right, so we're going to do loop signals and events. So the power of loops on the command line. As you'll remember last time we met, I showed you how to do loops from the command line. One of the simplest loops, and I hope you'll follow along with me if you should have a container and something around that you can mess with, right? You could do more than streams that people present on stream don't matter much. Yeah, I know, but that's fine. So here we go. So this is how you get away with doing cool things with loops. So let me give you a very specific example, actually. So I have been, let's say I want to make a Go project, make directory. I'm going to do a Go project in 1 minute. How about that? Let's do this. Let's do cd into, I'm cding into a temp directory. And I don't know where we should put make temp. We should probably put that someplace in our list on the boost. Where is that? Do I have that in the boost? Where should that go? Again, I told you this is organic. So directories, where are you? All right, make temp to make a new file or directory. See how fast I can update the curriculum? I can just do that. All right, so. All right, here we're gonna do cd into make temp dash dir. That CDs me into a directory here, and now I can make a Go project. Yeah, so let's do go mod. Why am I doing this? Because I want to show you about loops. Okay, so this is one of the places that I use a loop from the command line, and that's kind of, I like using practical examples. I do this all the time. So another one would be, let's just give you one right away. So let's say you want to see who's logged into the system, right? So you type who, and who will tell you what, what's going on, right? Well, you already know about watch. You could do watch who, and that'll just do a loop every 2 seconds. It'll run the command and show you who's here, right? You could do that with uptime. You could do watch uptime. In a sense, it's a loop, but it's not really, right? So that is the thing. 19 day 99 website says day 18. All right, so use watch for simple repetition. I don't think we've covered that anywhere else. So watch is essentially a loop, right? It just loops. It just runs every 2 seconds. You can do watch -n. So like if you really want to like run a poor man's monitor, this is a sort of sexist term, but well, I mean, you can set it to 1 second, and you can run uptime, and you get that. Like, look at that. Every day it tells you what the load average is, which this is good to tell you how busy your machine is. You know about top already, right? So, man, so that's a way to do it. But you can do the same exact thing with an infinite loop. So you can do while true. It's a Boolean. Boolean is the guy's name who, for some reason, has become credited with true or false, on or off kind of things. And I don't know the story behind Boolean. Somebody else could fill me in. But while true, do what? Do uptime. Now, be careful, because I'm going to break my system on purpose. Watch this. Don't do this. Don't do this. Look at that. Look how fast it's going. Someone here. Someone somewhere. Look at that. Look at this. Look at how many times it's printing out. You can't even see it's doing it so fast. All right. And by the way, right now my system is not happy. Look at that. Look at how pegged it is. It's not that pegged. Oh my God. It's not that pegged. George Boole invented Boolean algebra, a system of mathematics that uses base 2 binary instead of 10 decimal. I need to learn Boolean algebra. I didn't realize that he invented the whole algebra. So today I learned. This is why we have a community. You know what? This is another thing that's very freeing as a teacher, to be able to say, you know what? I don't know. Let's go figure it out. Because, you get this, you got to put on airs and believe like you know everything. I don't know everything. Let's go figure it out. Somebody come to the table and help us understand. Makes a much better learning environment. We talked about that earlier. So anyway, yeah, Boolean algebra. I didn't realize Boolean algebra was the basis of, so that's where the assembly stuff comes in and everything. Well, I knew about the 1 and 0 base 2 stuff, which we were going to get into. Maybe we should do a whole segment on Boolean algebra just on that. That would be fun. And tell us what you think. Almost research for every point mentioned, depending on your case. Yes, completely. I hope so. So what am I missing in here, guys? It's like going forever, right? So put a sleep in here. Sleep. So iterate over, let's see, while true, okay, let's see, I'm going to put a sleep in here. Use sleep to lessen impact to system. I mean, seriously, you're one of the lucky 10,000 today. I don't even know what that means. I'm a little afraid to look. Do I dare look right now? Hopefully this will be fun. All right. I mean, I'm trying to make fun of people for admitting they don't know things. Because for each thing everyone knows, by the time they're adults, every day there are, on average, 10,000 people in the U.S. hearing about it for the first time. Fraction you have heard of it at birth, 0. Fraction you have heard of it, 100% U.S. birth rate. Number hearing about it for the first time. Oh my gosh. If I make fun of people, I train them not to tell me when they have those moments, and I miss out on the fun. Diet Coke and Mentos. What? What's that? Oh man, come on. We're going to go to the grocery store now. Why? You're one of those today's lucky 10,000. And I was one of today's lucky 10,000. I love that. We're going to use that all the time now. There is definitely an XKCD for everything. It's like the scriptures of technology. XKCD. Chapter 10, page 53, verse 53. So I wanted the 10,000 to lessen impact system. Okay, so what does sleep do? If I verse, right? So it's funny. The guy who got the $10,000 junior engineering job, that was his project. He made an XKCD scraper as an application. He could do it from the command line. He could like look at any single picture just by cycling through them, and he had a total scraper for the whole system. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I miss him. I haven't heard from him in a while. Hopefully he's still alive and okay and all that jazz. Am I frozen for some reason? Why did my mouse just stop working? This is not good. Did I shift? I did. I'm not having a good day. I did not have a good day today. I turned my KVM on accident. My KVM kind of jumped on me on accident. This has been a bad day. There's a lot of. It's a good day and a bad day. It's also my anniversary. So, sleep 1 second. We're gonna sleep 1 second. Okay, so that's not so bad, right? Kind of fun, right? So there's your loop right there. Boom, we're done. Move on. There's loops. The only loop you ever need, the infinite loop with while true. How do you get out of a loop, by the way? It's also the way that Primagian says to exit VI, which you should never do. I'm gonna beat him up over that one because it's such a bad idea. Control C. All right, so power buttons. Yeah. So anyway, by the way, look at this. You can use decimals with sleep. P kill fam. 0.1. So it's a little bit more fun that way, right? It's kind of cool, right? You're gonna think it's cool. This gets more fun when we have colors involved. Yeah. That's all the fancy stuff I'm doing with like the titles and everything. It's all loops like that. Turning it on and off again. Yeah, no, we're not doing any of that. Nope. So that's a basic loop. All right, so here's another basic loop from the command line. Let's say I only want to do it 10 times. For, you can do it the POSIX way. 1 to 10. 1 to 10. Whoopsie. Whoopsie daisy. That was like really bad. And no, I'm not going to do the increments. This takes too much long time to write. This is all about. So this is like 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't type that. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right, boom, there we go. So if you can do it the bash way too, if you want to do this as a bash way, which we already did, we did it last week. This is bash. This is not POSIX, but oh, god damn it, did I really do that? Oh my god, man. I could use the number if I wanted to for something else, but I'm not going to. Stop it! Stop it! The noobs are going to see it and they're going to do it. The beginners. So that's how you do a loop. All right, we're going to talk all about that. But a more useful way to do a loop is this. So I have to do go test all the time. You know, when I have a file in here, I don't have anything in here. So go mod init foo. And then what? I can do main.go and save it. Go test. And there's no test files. Do Google ping. Yeah, you actually don't need to do that. That's nice. Ping's got that built in, right? We haven't done network stuff yet, but Ping's got that built in. Oh no, you know my IP. Or not. So what I'm trying to say is that you go test. There's no test here. Darn it. I'm trying to show you a practical example. So we put a test in here. And we'll say func. Test this. I know I need a snippet for this. I know. T.fail. All right. So now I just go test. Oh, I failed. Darn it. Right. Well, actually, what if I want two windows open, right? So what if I want to do this? So let's say I have another window open and I want to run the tests over here. And over here, I switch back and forth using tmux, which we're going to learn, I promise. And I'm switching back and forth, and I want to see when the test is successful. and I can, if I have enough room, I can do it on the same screen, which I don't have enough room, but I'm going to try to show you anyway. So if I did, I can come over here and I can do GOTT, and all it's doing is it's running my test code in a loop. So all I have to do is like pass, right? And boom, now my test should pass as soon as it gets saved. Oh, fine. How about skip? Can I skip? I'll skip for something. Okay, there we go. And you can see that it updates, right? So it's update the loops. Oh yeah, IR 9000. So that's one of the reasons you might want to use it. Well, what does that loop look like? All right, well, let's look at the loop and see what it looks like. So the GOTT, which is my own creation, it just runs the GOT command, and that just runs go test and clear and test it all out. But I have another thing called onChange, and this is this detects whether something has. There's your loop right there. We did functions yesterday. They're emailed by commanding kind of like this. Yeah, you can do email from the command line. That was a very 90s thing to do. People don't do that so much anymore, but you can with ProtoMail bridge. So while true, do blah, onChange, sleep for 5 seconds, and then just give me something new. In this particular case, it's not always running it. It only runs it if there's been a change, and that's something we do through detection of the timestamps on the files and stuff like that. Basic, yeah, right, yeah. Well, yeah, that's a pretty cool thing. That's a way to do encoding and all kinds of fancy stuff. So that is why you would do a loop. That's why you would do a loop from the command line. It's one way to use a loop that's very practical. Of course, there's lots of reasons to use a loop. Loops and recursion in general are, a fundamental part of computer science. You couldn't have it without looping, and so it's awesome. Neoma, oh yeah, I did it. I did it in 2019. That entire year was NeoMet and ProtonMail Bridge, and then I got on ProtonMail email web version, and I never left it because I didn't. I have all the MUT config someplace. I have to go set it up again. Anyway, so you can use watch for simple things. You can iterate over ranges and items. That's another reason you would use for. You could create small monitors and services. You just saw me do several of those things as an example. So again, this is just to give you ideas to go play with it, right? And then go do the X in RWX. Now go, read more about it, maybe write some notes about it of your own and write some code, and then, experiment and explore, give it all kinds of different tweaks. See if you can run an infinite loop that knocks your computer out. I've heard that's a pretty fun tool. So we might want to go look at, that's the only thing from Luke I would ever look at. I'm sorry, Luke. I just think people shouldn't watch him at all. I've said it. I usually don't go that far. So loops repeat commands, guys, no, calm down. Calm down. I know we have to calm down. We have to be nice now because this is all going on YouTube, and inevitably he'll find it in the transcript. I'll stand by my position, but still, whatever. So loops repeat commands until met. Use while and while true for infinite loops. So the other loop that people don't know about is until. And I put this on the list because people don't use it. It's kind of fun. A lot of people think it's irrelevant. I love Rob Pike and the Go team. They're like, now we don't need anything but for. And because for is really a forever loop instead of a while loop. They don't have any of that. And we'll get into that when we start coding a Go later in the boost. But I think I summarized all three of these major types just now. If you thank you for that, Juan. So use while to repeat while true command, use while true for infinite loops. And let's see what else. Use sleep to slow things down. Use until. So all of the loops all have do and done around them. All right. I think you already saw one. I showed it to you. So go write some loops. Go write some loops right now. And if you try a different one with until, try that one, right? Um, Iterating with for, we talked about that, how to go between numbers and try to print things out. And now let me give you an example of a case that you may not really think about. Unexpected benefits of loops for editing. So I'm going to demonstrate this. I keep coming back to this because this, again, the Boost purpose is to show you things you may not know, and let you go study and research them. So there is, that's kind of the problem is now you don't know how to use any enterprise distro, which is not Arch. Arch is not in any sense of the word an enterprise distro. We're not going to talk about that. If you want to learn a distro that's guaranteed to be supported in the enterprise, learn any Debian-based system, including Ubuntu, Red Hat, Pop! OS. Learn Red Hat. Those are the two main distros, period, for the enterprise. If you want a job and you want to learn a distro that's going to help you get a job, then, or you just don't care, you want to have a cool distro, that's different priorities. Anyway, so back to making loops count during an edit session. So you could be editing anything. You can be making a blog, right? I don't know. You can even have code, write code. You can say, here is a list from 1 to 10, from 1 to 10, right? And I've showed you guys this a couple times, but this is a case where loops come in super handy. So I can say for I can write shell code right here. I can say for I in, and it's bash. I don't care. So I'm going to use the bash method, but you can learn POSIX in this case. Well, let's use the POSIX one. Sequence, let's say 1 to 10, do echo I dot, and then, some item, right? Done. So I know you're like, well, you're writing that right in your document, Fedora. Yeah. You're writing that right in your document. What are you going to do with that? Well, pay attention. So this is bang, bang, colon, 2 exclamation point, colon, bang, bang, and bash. And what that says is send this line to bash and replace it with the output. So take a good long look at that. How did I get there again? All right. So it's bang, bang, bash. And the dot means the current line. This means it's an X command. That means it's not VI, it's X. VI is the visual mode of the X editor. In fact, in the old days, it used to be .xrc was the script that you did. Exclamation point means run a command, but the dot means send the current line to that command. The command is just bash, could be sh, and actually in this case it'd be fine. And then it runs this and it prints out, it replaces that line with the output of that form of that command. Notice how I didn't have to leave here. Now, I really want you to understand this because when we're going to come back to this. I've got my snippet editor almost done and my new one in Go. And so please go back. Hi, Will. Go back and watch days 0 through 4, and it will cover all the WSL2 stuff. Okay. I recommend starting with a container, and then we're going to do moving to full Linux later. And I have a couple, I think day 1, 2 talk exactly about that. The REPL style features of Vim. Yeah. And so as you can see, I can undo that. I can write it in Python. I can write it in any language at all. This is one of the reasons that I believe that the first language you should learn, if you're learning the terminal, first of all, I think everybody should learn the terminal. But once you learn the terminal, you should learn the VI editor, and you should learn shell, because shell and the editor go together. They go together. They're one and the same. They are part of the same system. And thinking of the editor as this thing over here and my terminal as this thing over here is incorrect thinking, in my opinion, because it's not the Unix way to do that. Unix is all about make one thing that does something really well and get them to integrate well. Well, VI allows you to very easily integrate commands from the shell directly into it and talk directly to input and output from the shell. So in that sense, it's a very Unix way of being to learn to code in shell rather than to learn Lua or Node or whatever the crap you want and make a plugin. Because you can make a plugin instantly if you learn shell. If you learn shell, you can literally write a one-off plugin right here and just run it. You can't do that with those other approaches. Those other approaches have you limited to being able to get the plugin on the system, to install it and everything. And they're not nearly as flexible. They're not as cognitively flexible, and they're not as technically flexible. This is why you should learn it the VI way. You should learn it the Unix philosophy first. If you choose to go down that path, and there are some things that require plugins, fine. But learn shell scripting first and then add on to it. Okay. So another great thing with that, it's another reason for Perl, by the way, because Perl is the king of all practical, language and extraction languages for that kind of thing. Yeah, you absolutely can write short scripts as a plugin. That's exactly the goal, Chaos. That's the goal. In fact, I have several of them. So I have a script. I have a script right now that loops. I'm going to show you another loop. So this is, I don't know if you saw this, but I just picked up all of this, and I'm going to send this to a little script I have called CMT. Do I need visual mode to comment things out? No, I don't. Do I want to uncomment this again? Yes, use CMT. I don't need visual mode. I could do that from VI and a 1986 AT&T Unix system. I could still do what I just did. And yet people don't know that, and so they go write a plugin for this or that, or they extend Vim and have visual mode. I never use visual mode. I don't need it. So it's more important to me to be able to understand how to loop through, and I'm bringing this up because this is why loops matter. Because loops are a core part of that. The command that does that is called CMT. Whoops, wrong one. VIC, by the way, is, let me show you what that is. VIC is a one-line program that runs VI on the thing that it finds. I could probably change this. I want to change this command.v. I just learned yesterday that which is, does that work? Yeah. I learned yesterday that which is not POSIX. Yeah, so that would be the right way to do that one. If you guys want one, I'd probably save it, but anyway. So this is the one I meant to show you, which was the CMT for comment. Yeah, I did the magic. I did VI magic, and I talk about that on the VI day. I'm going to talk about it again. There's your loop. Okay. So this is a bash script. This doesn't need to be a bash script. This is back when I was really, really obsessed with bash. Sorry for the swear word. But it says here you don't need visual mode. So again, it's just a loop. Now this is a loop that's combined with read. Now did we cover read? Dude, I do not make enterprise commenting. Are you kidding me? No, I'm not writing enterprise software. This is my personal dot files. Give me a break. I swear like a sailor in my personal life. I don't care. Sue me. Sue me. You know, I've talked to people who don't trust people who don't swear. So it's is this, you don't need to put that in your enterprise computing software or your YouTube video. It's just so, oh my God. Me compared to Linus Torvalds. Dude, I am tame as F compared to him. So why did I show you all that stuff and go over, make my Pomo cry? I showed you all that stuff because I want to show you places where you can use loops that might not be immediately obvious. At least they don't seem to be obvious to people. So one of them is making, looping over all the lines in a file. This is a very, 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 very common idiom. I'm going to send these lines to you right now. Watch this. Another thing, right? I'm sending you those lines in my Eeks paste bin. Eeks has taken a long time lately. I don't know what the deal is. It's been taking longer than usual. All right. So here's something cool. Watch this. I can actually paste that Eeks without leaving VI. Check this out. So I'm going to do bang, bang, replace with the current thing. Eeks 30L. Boom. It actually cut and paste across the internet without leaving VI. Eeks for the win. ix.io. So super fun stuff there. And I mean, this is the Unix way. The Unix way is when you can tell when someone starts to use the Unix way because all of the things kind of come together and they're all interacting with it. This is why curl and JQ and sed even and Perl and all those things are so great because they all interact with each other to create this, singular but very, expansive, powerful platform that doesn't need a plugin, you know? So yeah. So anyway, I wanted to put this. No, I actually had this as this for a while. This, by the way, you know what that is, right? So watch, I can do this. I can comment this out. I can do CMT and it'll just do the default, or I can do CMT and I can change the comment to like a Go style comment. And I actually use uncomment all the time to cheat. So like I can uncomment this whole block. So you have to learn your VI. Guys, go back and watch your VI, okay? So here we go. So I'm going to send the entire block to UCMT. Then I'll take that off there. But sometimes I'm like got too many spaces, and I'll use uncomment to just kill the spaces, because it's actually easier than using an X command, which is another thing you can do too, right? Anyway, sorry for all the swear words there, moms and dads, if you're seeing that. I mean, 14 plus, I guess, is our rating here. 12 plus, 14 plus. I don't know. Am I on track? It's 7:30. How far have we got? So sequence, use break to break out of any loop. Oh, we need to talk about that. Okay, we'll come back. We talked about sleep. We talked about until. Until just keeps doing the thing until it's true, which means it always does it at least once. That's the main difference between while and until. While won't even execute once unless the condition is true. And until will execute once no matter what, and then it will not execute the next time unless it's true. So until is kind of nice if you're starting up some counting or something like that. You can say until n equals 5, and then you can add on to it while you're doing it. You'll notice that I don't have any for loops here that use numbers. And I've really debated about whether to talk about that. Because you can get away with the same thing here. Do we talk about math at all? The only time to use, first of all, I'm kind of on the fence on teaching this at all, because we talked about math. Math in POSIX is not a thing. You should never ever use it. And I feel like I'm going to put a thing here. I'm going to say avoid for loops loops that require math in POSIX. Now that seems like a kind of a cop out, and the reason for that, but if you do need them, but if needed, hey, remember integer only. Okay, so let me show you what I mean by that. If you're doing a for loop, I don't know how well I'm going to be able to do this. It's going to be interesting. So temp foo again. Foo bar has been a long-standing Unix tradition. Dates back to the 50s, actually, 40s. So beta H. Oh, a party of 56. Diabolic, what's up, man? All right, so we're going to do some looping here. And we're going to do some for loops here. But again, the caveat here is that to the people just starting, github.com/rwxrob/boost. You can go read that and catch up if you want to know what's going on. So here's what it looks like. So we just did all these other loops. We did while true, we did sleep, so we did all that stuff, and we did until. We talked about sleep, and we talked about usually when loops are taught, they teach you how to do a traditional for loop, and just for the sake of conversation, I am going to do one of these in JavaScript because this is how I normally used to teach it before. So JavaScript is a great language to learn, by the way, as a beginner, for a beginner language. This is my favorite, sort of official. What am I doing here? what? I don't. That's not what I was doing. Okay, it's sort of my favorite official, non-official. I mean, language. You know, because I've talked about this before because of the console. So I might not like web development and stuff, but JavaScript is a really great language to teach you some of these programming concepts. So one of the things I'm talking about right now is the for loop. So we talked about all the iterative loops that just go through and increment by one and stuff like that. But then you can do this, and if there's somebody who's a JavaScript person out there, you know, who sees me doing it wrong, please let me know. So let x equals 0, x. Well, you know what? We're gonna do it the normal way that I teach loops. This is how I teach loops in Python. Should we do Python or JavaScript first? Which one should we do? We can do all of them. We're talking about maybe doing all three at the same time next time. Actually, let me try some Python here. So, I don't know which one to show. Forget it. We'll just do shell. And then you can add it onto that. I'll tell you why the other ones don't work. Okay, so, all right, so here we go. So let's do this. Okay, so remember I told you could like count between 1 and 10. We already did that, right? 401, and again, this is the POSIX method, not bash. And so it does a subshell, which is not happy. If you wanted to count from 1 to 10, that's not too hard, right? Do done. And then you just echo I. All right, not too hard to do there. So then I can just do temp foo schmod schmucks. I can't see my screen over there, so we'll fix that. Schmucks temp foo. Okay, temp foo, and so wait, it didn't do it. Temp foo, where are you? Uh-oh, I failed to save it. Okay, here we go. It's not saving. Why is it saying that? I don't know why it's not saving. It's not saving. Why am I? Oh, because of the thing. Okay. So the sequence in. Oh, I put the numbers in. There's no. I mixed my. I've crossed my streams. All right. That's how you're. The dots are only for bash. So then we go like that. Okay. Counts to 10. Right. And actually, you know what we can do over here? Remember that little trick we showed with watch? Let's do that. Let's do watch -n. So every 2 seconds, let's run this program, and let's add a clear. We're going to clear the screen. Clear. Okay. So let's clear the screen. Clears the screen, and we're going to do it. We're going to watch it every 2 times. Actually, watch would clear the screen for you if we did it that way. Why don't we try that? So I kind of want you guys to get a sense of both of them. It doesn't work when it's in a separate window. I'm sorry. Sometimes I think doing it in the same pane is going to be a good idea, and it usually isn't, because it takes up too much space. So let's do this. Let's do one over here, and then we'll do watch temp foo. So it's just running every 2 seconds. It's printing something else out. Let's say I save this with 2. It should be 2 to 10. See that? I change it to 14 to 134. What? Now it should go all the way. There we go. So here we go. We're gonna have to do. So that's just a basic loop, right? But what if you wanted to only count? You didn't know how many there were, or you wanted to count up to a certain number. Most of the time, you can just do the sequence and you know the 2 numbers. But if you don't know that, you can do a while or a true loop. And I know there's lots of ways of doing this. You can do while. Or you can do this. You can do until n. Oh my god. Until n equals. And you can put our test here. Remember, use test and not the brackets for reasons I talked about last time. Test dash n equals. Actually, let's put it in a nice thing. We probably don't have that, but and because we have control of n, I mean, it doesn't hurt to put it around brackets, but we have control of n in this case, so it's probably not that big a deal. So until n equals 10, do all of this, and then we'll add to, actually, let's do test I. How about that? Test I, and then we'll do, and then we have to say I equals, I plus 1. And that's math. But it's only integer math that you can do there. And then we do I equals 0 just to make sure. Let's see what happens. So temp food looks like it's still working. Let's make sure we can change this. Let's make it start at 5. How about that? Does that work? There we go. 5 to 9. So it's going to 10, but it's not reaching 10, right? So I'm going to do, was it equals that or no, is less than or equal to. Where would that be documented? It was in the homework. Anybody know? Where is that documented? Or are you going to go look that up? Less than or equal to 10 until, oh, no. Until it is greater than 10. Greater than 10. Yes, there you go. You got it. I knew you would. I knew you would get it. So if you can't remember that, you know, copy this up in man test, and then go read all about man test, and you can see all these little things over here. So that'll get you what you need. All right. So this, unfortunately, this particular syntax is what I was trying to show you, the Python and the you know, all of the other ones. They're a little bit easier to read. But this only does integer math, and that's what I wanted to warn you about. So you can't add like 1.2. It'll say, I'm sorry, denied. This is also why you should not use Z-Shell. Z-Shell will lie to you. I did a Zettelkasten on this. Note, Z-Shell will lie to you and say, oh, I'm going to try to do that, and it'll give you the wrong result. POSIX will yell at you and say, you can't do that. And Bash will yell at you and say, you can't do that. Z-Shell will lie to you and say, I'm going to try to do that, and then fails to do it properly. It's really dangerous. It's one of the main reasons not to use Z-Shell. So there you go. For scripting anyway. If you want to use it for command shell, who cares? But I don't like to mix those usually. Anyway, so that's a basic until loop. You could do that with a while loop as well, right? So, but this is the stuff I want you to memorize about loops in general. Init, check, change. Okay, so and I'm going to talk to you about this right here. Understand init check. This is my saying. I've never heard anybody else say it. I just say it. I think it helps you remember. I use BC for decimals. Yes, you could. You could totally do that. Chaos, yeah. If you want to do decimal incremented loops, yeah, with BC you totally could. And I'm really glad we covered BC. We covered BC pretty well in the last couple of days. So, okay, so I want to introduce this concept to you of init check change, and it goes for all coding. All coding has this, and if you can use the sort of mnemonic init check change, hey Rob, you'll be able to find what's going on easier. All right, so let's identify it here. Where is the init? Where is the initialization happening? You probably guess up here, right? So here's the init, right? Any numeric kind of loop, any loop that has, and it doesn't have to necessarily be numeric, by the way, but every single loop has, and sometimes they're more implied and hidden from you than others, but they all have it, and you just have to dig it out and find out where it is and reorganize it. So they all have an initialization phase. That's where it sets everything up. Sometimes it sets one variable, sometimes it sets two, sometimes it calls a function. There's all kinds of things happening during that step. Initialize the loop. And then there's a check. And the check is where the condition, so you could use a condition if you want. This is the check. Okay, so this is the check. And so the check is where we test the condition to see if it's true. Now, the check could involve one or more checks. And in fact, one of the greatest things about Python, I should probably write one. I love that you can use this notation with Python. So with Python, you can do this. It's just so stinking cool. You can have I, and you can say is between, right? 10, and then you can have over here, you can have like 5, And you can say, and so that's basically, that would be like your if statement. So your if, and I really love that. By the way to get away to do that, the way to do this in Shell or any other language, let me show you. Let me see if I can do one here, is to combine these two together. So what you would do is you would say, let's say, you can say while, right? So you could say while, and then you would test, you would say, you can put an I here. I know this is going to be pretty complex, but it looks a lot easier when you're doing it on JavaScript or something, or Go even. So, and then you can say 5, and you would say less than I, and less than 10. So that, I know that looks really ugly because it's shell, but that is the same as this. Right, so when you're trying to find if a number is within a range, it's kind of nice to do that way. We should probably put that on the condition day. Where is the ranges? We'll go through the conditions. Let's do the conditions. Just check the check condition. Let's see. Use range notation. So I'm going to say, let's see, 20. So there's, yeah, that's kind of what we're doing. We're in the middle of a YouTube video. We're making a YouTube video, Rob. So you can put an exclamation point in front of stuff if you want it to go to the chat. You don't want to be in the video. But we're doing shell loops right now. So this is the check, and then the change. So this is the change. Okay. So as you go about programming and as you go about, studying loops and stuff, see if you can identify the init, check, and change. And the reason I'm going to show you this is because all loops are the same. Whether they're while, until, for, they're all the same. They're all the same. They all come down to implying that. Even your infinite while true loop. All right. When you do a while true loop, there is no initialization. So the init level is empty, but it's still there. The check level is true. So is it true or not? And then the change level is not there. So it never changes. Therefore, it's an infinite loop. But it's still there. And the reason it's important for you to grab it this way is because when you start to do stuff in JavaScript or Python, I don't know if I even have this on here. Node.js. I know we can do like Dino, user bin Node.js. So you can do this. You could say so let x equal 1 for now I'm gonna do something here. I'm gonna do it with a while loop, okay? And we're gonna do. I've taught this so much in Python. Okay. So while let's see. So while x is less than 10 or equal to 10. How about that? That's the condition. Conditions are like this. Then do this. So then we're gonna say, console.log, which is print x. So I wanted you to see this in a different language too. Foo.js, temfoo.js. Oh boy, I did it wrong. You know what happened? What did I forget? You know the 3 parts. Which part did I forget? Change. Yes, I forgot to change. So, and that's how you get your infinite loop. So x++, which is shorthand in every language but Shell. Yep. So x equals x plus 1. You'll understand that a little bit easier, but that's x++ is the same thing. That's where, C++ and that kind of idea comes from too, by the way. If you're a beginner, you might not know that. That's where C++ comes from. So there's your init check change, right? Now, let's turn all that off And I have to teach you this in JavaScript because it's a little bit harder to teach in shell. And let's do it in all in one shot. For, and you can do this in shell. I just never do. So you could do 4x because they're exactly the same. So you can say 4, and then you have to initial. There's your init. X equals 1, right? Yeah. Yeah. They're same. Yes. Thanks, Juan. And so you go like this. You say x equals 1. There's your init, right? And then here's your check. X is less than or equal to 10. And then here's your change. Okay. Same thing, right? So, and then, you know, you could just console log it right here. Right? On one line. That is exactly the same. So, you know, exactly the same code. This code here and this code is identical in execution. By the way, never, ever put var here. And if you go into a coding interview, I guarantee you that they will, sometime in your life, they will ask you what is wrong with this command. And I'm not going to tell you because this is a JavaScript topic. You can go look at it. And again, this is the purposes, but make sure you understand the difference between those two. All right. There's a seriously big difference in JavaScript, but that's not so. So now why would you need to do that? So which one is easier to read? You know, I don't know. Right. And Go, it's the same thing. And Go, it's the same thing. It's init check. These loops are the same. This one is just cleaner. It's a little bit more verbose. This one's a little bit, you know, there's lots of ways you could do this. You could even do an infinite loop. Here's another way to do it. And all of this can be done in shell too. So another way would be to do like an infinite loop and just say, while true. I mean, it is not wrong to do this. To say while true. And I sometimes I'll do this just to give myself an isolated scope, which you don't have in shell either, but you know. So while true, you can say this. You can say this is x less than. You still have to have an init up here, but there's already kind of this implied. You have to do like. I guess you can't get away with that. X equals 0. Oh well. Oh well, you can't get away from that. So you can do while true, and you can say x equals. I probably wouldn't do this, but you could do it. So x with a for syntax. You can. You absolutely can. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you just don't have any condition here. Let's try it. Let's break it. Let's break it. So yeah, if I say x is less than, I don't know. What would we say? You can change, yeah, anything here. So you could say while n equals 1. I mean, it doesn't matter. It just has to be something different, right? And then it just goes forever. Oh my gosh. It's counting pretty fast. My computer's keeping up pretty well here. Yeah, X is... Oh, you hear my fan. My fan just came on. You will do this. So, you know, go have fun with the loops, guys. Go have fun with the loops. Let's actually try that in shell now. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm dreading this because I do not use for loops in that way in shell scripts, nor do I think you should either. Usually if you're that caring about the specific iteration value, you can get away with it in any number of other ways that are not required. So we still have to get the signals, which is going to take at least 30 minutes. So we'll do that next. But let's try one for loop, infinite value in sh. I don't think there is. No, true, I think is the closest thing. So let's try to rewrite this as a for loop. All right, so I know it can be done. I just don't do it. I don't. And so I'm kind of out on a limb here. In fact, I'm going to go look it up. For loop in POSIX shell. It's just, I don't use them. I don't. And shell, I think it's dangerous to use them, actually. Why are you not happy? Oh. POSIX shell for loop. But you saw the one way I had it with the init check change. It's just spread out. It's the same exact thing, right? So shell for loops. What does Stack Exchange have to say? Oh my God. There it is. Is that POSIX? Oh, well, there you go. It's not POSIX. Hooray! That's why I don't do them. They're not POSIX. They're not POSIX. They aren't. They're not POSIX. The end. You don't have to worry about them. But now you know what they are. And we're going to, I mean, come on. We're going to learn C. We're going to learn Go. We're going to learn Python. We're going to maybe learn a little bit of Dino, which is Node-ish. And so that's probably why I don't use them. I feel better about myself. Yay, Rob. Because I was like, I should probably know these. And I don't, because they don't exist. Bash does. But here, this, I barely use this, for iterating. Because you don't need to do that. All right. Did you really? You're doing a hacker rank noob challenge? You fell into that? Yeah. Wow. Yeah. It does not have it. So there you go. There's your answer. So there. In fact, we should probably put it in our boosts, shall we? Should we save the other poor children from going down that path? Instead, check change. I'm going to put can be done with while or for with while in POSIX. Okay, so arithmetic. Is this arithmetic for loops are not POSIX. Yay, there we go. All right. Today's my lucky day. Yeah, lucky in some sense and not in others, but I will not go into it. I'm trying to stay positive. All right. So use for to repeat the for sequence for number of items. Use sec. Yeah, I've got that. Break and continue. That just gets out of a loop. So you can break out early. It's not uncommon for me to write an infinite loop and then break out of it. Because I don't write big, dense, nested monstrosities. So it's actually perfectly fine to do that. It's exactly the same way you would write it in low-level C and assembly and stuff. So I don't have a problem with it. I'm thinking more like a computer there. Unexpected benefits for looping for editing, for editing. We talked about that. All right. So we have an entire 30-minute topic at least to cover. We are not going to be able to get to the challenges. Maybe we'll do some challenges tomorrow. I don't know. What if we did it when we did one of the days? I mean, you guys want to be off and running. I don't know how many of those to cover. All right. So enterprises communication. Okay. So we talked about this a little bit way back when. It's a little hard because we kind of have to talk about it up front. We're talking about Control C, stopping the signal. Then we talk about your terminal. By the way, does anybody remember what freezes your terminal? We covered it on what day? Let's review really quick on all those things. All those signals that you can send to your computer to free. Control S. Okay. So if you accidentally press Control S, see how my computer's not doing anything? Look, I'm typing stuff and nothing's happening. Why? Because it's suspended and it's Control C. Oh boy. That has to do it. All right. So Control key saves you. You say, I just did it there. Actually, that's the first time I noticed that screen keys actually still registers keystrokes, which is great. It's really great to teach that way. I should have it on next time. The reason I'm talking about that is you have to go back to the day that we talk about that, where we first introduced signals. And the signal we learned, the Control C, is what? What does the Control C do? Yeah, I know. And why do you think I hate Nano? And then I'm rather perturbed that Primagian keeps telling you guys to do Control C for instead of escape. It's not escape. It's interrupt. It's different. It has massive effect differently on different versions of VI. Don't use it. All right. So it's I'm not going to use those versions of VI. Yeah, but then don't tell beginners that. Okay. So so let's talk about signals in general. And I got it. How much time we got? We got a few minutes here. All right. Wait, where'd it go? Oh, here we go. Did I delete it? There it is. Oh wow, I did delete it. Whew. Whew. Okay, so a new page for you to memorize. All right, here you go. Kill-L. All right. Kill-L. And we're not going to make any comments about, the appropriateness of kill as a verb, and the fact that daemons are running and we were going to be killing them. I mean, you think if you're Christian, you'd like that, right? You're killing daemons. I mean, that's what they're called. So what is a daemon? So there's a number of terms that we have to cover here. So you get all this stuff. In fact, I'm gonna put understand what a daemon is. Yeah, there we are. To create daemons. Understand what a daemon is. Well, we'll get to it. All right, so we'll get back to that. So you saw the kill, right? Oops, let's kill this one. Get it? Lol. Background, yeah. They're not just background processes. They're background processes that will. All right. So, and by the way, we talked about backgrounding and all of that stuff because why? We talked about the whole nano thing and about people. Okay, I have to review that again with you. I wish I could combine these into the same lesson, but we have to have the one when we're doing BI. So this is what people do. So I'm going to repeat for you really quick. This is why we have to talk about backgrounding processes. Okay, so we're gonna in the disk world. Yeah. So let's say I'm editing this shell script, right? La 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 la. I'm a beginner and I'm about to save it, and I'm going to go out and try to run it. So what do I do? Control Z. This is why we have to talk about this the other day. What did I just do? All right. So now I'm going to do my thing. Foo. I got a problem. I run it. I'm a beginner. I don't know what I'm doing. Oh man. Okay. Let me go back and fix that again. All right. So vi temp foo. All right. Oh yeah. Okay. Well, let's see. Echo I. I'm gonna fix my thing. All right. So while true, sleep 1. Echo blah. Done. Okay. So I wrote this new thing. All right. Let me go try this one. Do you see what I'm doing? All right. Now watch. I'm gonna try this one. Temp foo. Yep. I'm like, oh damn. All right. Well, let me try this one then. You have no idea how many times I've seen this. I have seen it done. So, oh wait, this one's not right. It's do over here. Okay. All right. Control Z. All right. Let me try now. Temp foo. It's like, oh, hey, it's working. Huzzah. And then I go away. Huh? Yeah, I am sort of. So that is a typical person. Now, okay. So the reason I did that in front of you is I just recreated a very horrendous scenario that beginners do all the time that directly relates to signals and backgrounds and processes and jobs and all of this topic that we're on right now. So I have to do this to introduce it. So who wants to tell me what's wrong right now? I mean, what is the command that will reveal the extreme mistake I have just made? What command is it? What command? We talked about it on like day 10 or something. Jobs, you got it. Yeah, PS, jobs, all of them. Friendly giant. Yeah, so that's great. So jobs is probably the fastest one. You're like, oh. Now they're all stopped, right? They're not hurting anything. Who said PS? Let's try that. So PS, it's a little bit harder to do, but let's do this. Let's do, was it -U? And let's pipe that to more. And wait, that should have. I want just me processes for me. Did I do it wrong? I don't know I have to read my PS command. I don't know it. Which is the one that gives you the right user ID? Is it capital U? No, that's not it. Damn it. Actually, it's pgrep. You could do this. You could do pgrep. Oh wait, should we do ptree? Is that on here? No, it's not on here. Do you guys know about ptree? PS3. Oh, PS3. PS3 is pretty damn cool. There it is. I have it installed. So we can do PS3. Let's see if we can go find. This is all the processes and their sort of children, right? So we're gonna go find to see if we can find it. We're going spelunking through the logs here, and what do we find in here? We're gonna see. Oh, there's System D. This is why people hate it, because it's like the one daemon to rule them all. The D stands for daemon, by the way. That's why. That's look at that. High piety daemon, gnome sessions, plain PS. You could use plain PS. Yeah, people do. But let's use this one, PS3 for a bit, because I kind of want to visualize it, and then we'll use PS. I would just PS grep or P grep, same thing. So let's see here. There's my key pass running. By the way, this is why you don't put passwords in your environment variables or your arguments, because they show up like this. What else we got? Anything that looks like, oh, here's tmux. Okay, I got 2 tmux sessions. There's my one down here. Here's my tmux session up on the top up here. Here's my less session. Here's my, it says I have 1, 2, 3. Oh, look at this. I got 3 backgrounded Vim sessions right here. See that? So this shows you the process tree and how it works, and what we mean when we say a sub-process. Now, process is the way they communicate with each other. Process is what, by the way? What's the shortest possible definition of a process? Anybody want to take a try? The shortest definition of a process, in my opinion. you can have your own opinion on this. A running program, perfect. A process is just a running program, and it could be about to end at some point. It could be a never-ending program that's designed to run infinitely until it's told to die, which is pretty much what a daemon is. The only difference between a running process that's meant to stay on forever and a daemon is that the daemon is also set to not respond to signals, so that when you log out and stuff like that, it stays on. It's called no hup, and I'm kind of all over the board here, but that's what this is. So since we talked about it, there we go. So if you put no hup in front of a command, it's a really old school method of doing this. The better way for to do this actually is to use tmux or screen. It's usually better to use tmux or screen, because then you can regain control of the process. You can't do that if you use no hup. It's super complicated if you even can do it. So, and I'll tell you what that means in a bit here when we get there. So, well, actually, since we're on it, since it's 8:15, we're getting pretty close. I want to cover the main thing. So let's say I'm going to give you another for instance. So let's say you're running a Minecraft server on a world on a separate server that you're set up that's on the internet, and you need to get onto that server through SSH, which we'll talk about when we talk about networking. And you want to go over there, and you have this running server, but the Minecraft server doesn't run in a way that you can reconnect to. So, no kidding, the standard way to do this is to start a screen session or tmux, and it starts an interactive terminal process that you can then reconnect to and see the screen again when you come back. So that's what's up with screen and tmux. And we're going to talk at length about screen or tmux. We're going to give them their whole day, if not 2 days, in a while. That's the thing I'm using, that you see me explaining my screen and going all over and stuff. That's all the tmux. And there are a lot of people that don't know it. It's to save jobs all the time. Yeah. And tmux is a way to really save your butt. And so we're going to come back. In the old days, before tmux, screen's been around forever. So, but no hup is sometimes used to make a process run in the back that, you can babysit, but just don't plan on getting control of it ever again. It's just going to run in the background until it ends. And so unless you have really good logging or something, it's just gone. And so we talk about killing. Let's talk about pkill. So let's say, I've got all these processes running. Okay, so FG brings the last process that was running, the last job, to the forefront. You can do FG and then give it which one you want. I'm pretty sure. I think it's like 1. Did I get that right? I don't remember how to do it. It's %, right? I'm sorry. I'm kind of dumb here. I don't use jobs at all. So I'm very awkward with them. So there are still jobs here. This number here, you can put a percent in front of a number, and you can either kill that one or reattach to it, or do stuff like that. But as I said, I use tmux and screen, so I don't ever mess with jobs. And frankly, I don't think you should either. It's just you just need to know that they're there. Okay. So how would I kill this one? So I could actually spend the time looking for that process number. So there's a process number if I happen to know what it was, and I could do pkill that process ID. Now, thank God we have pkill. Pkill is not POSIX. It's something that I believe Linux added, and it will kill a process by identifier by number, and kill will also do by number. Let's see if there's a number. And again, another command for this is ps. Pat, Steve is still with us in Linux. Yeah. So here we have all kinds of stuff that's running. And this here is the ID, and this is the parent ID. So every process has a parent, yada, yada. And you can go kill them and try all kinds of stuff. And you send that kill statement. Kill-L tells you all the different signals, which I want to talk about really briefly. But you need to read about, let me give you homework of the ones you need to know. And so I'm going to do the ones you need to know. So use interrupt, use what is it, SIGINT, which is, what is int? Is it 3? I can never remember. It's 2, which is also CTRL-C to interrupt. Okay. And even though Control D, we're not going to talk about it right now, but Control D sends an end of file sequence. It's not an interrupt signal, but it has the same effect a lot of times. So it's just almost a redo of the exact same lesson we had before. So I can BC, for example, scale equals 2. 1 divided by 3 equals 0.33. Now, how do I get out of here, right? Control C doesn't do it, right? I either have to type quit, or I can do Control D, and that just sends an end of file, and we're done here, right? It's as if it was literally is the same character that would appear at the end of a file were it in, on disk, in a file someplace. So Python's the same way. So, if you want to send it an interrupt, like echo, print, hello. Now if I do an interrupt, it's like, no, keyword interrupt. It traps the interrupt, doesn't do anything with it, and just doesn't respond. And so you can't make it die no matter how many times you send an interrupt. But if I wanted to send this process an interrupt outside of the program, so what is this program? I don't know, right? So let's do pgrep Python, all the stuff that's got Python in it. Let's print all of them out. And now you can't WQ that. I wish you could. No, this is actually running Python. So here's a Python process. Here is a pop transition service. It's probably bad for me to kill that one, right? That's the one that you want around. So here is a client test. I don't know what this is. This looks like probably the one to kill, right? What I want to show you is what happens to a process. I mean, we know how to get out of here, right? So let me just show you the 2 ways to get out of here. The one way is just Control D, and it's like, I'm done, right? End of file. But that was not a signal. So if I would say, oh, help me, help, I'm being repressed or something, Python's named after Monty Python, by the way. It's not named after the stupid snake. Never was. Guido just allowed the snake to be used later after the fact, but it was named after Monty Python. There you go. No, he's fine. So let's do this. So how do I kill this from out of here? How do I send it? What signal do I send, right? Okay, so I want to send an interrupt, but I can't see them because there's too many here. I'm trying to keep it on the same screen here. So here we go, kill-L. So pretend like you've never seen this before. So I'm just going to go through it really quick. A sig hup is it just says, will you please hang up? And sometimes processes will die nicely, like an interrupt. SIGHUP is the most polite signal you can send a process. It's like, hey, how's it going? Would you mind hanging up and restarting real quick? And actually, in the old days when people wrote good software, oh, gosh darn it, people could send a SIGHUP to a process and cause it to reload its configuration files. When's the last time you ran a server that does that today? They're all brain dead, man. They're all brain dead. and back when we actually cared about downtime, I mean, these days you have to take the whole thing down and restart it, and nobody cares. Back then, you'd make a change to the configuration file and you send a process a HUP. And that assumes you know how to do a HUP. And if you didn't, you send a SIGINT instead, it would die and would go down, and you'd be in trouble because you lost your 4 nines uptime. Yeah. And so SIGINT is the real, not good one. SIG illegal, you can't even throw that. That is usually like if you try to access illegal memory or something, that'll be the signal that gets sent. So as you know, the kernel is managing all these running jobs, running processes, and the kernel ultimately sends these signals to these processes, or does something to them. The kernel is the one really responding and says, hey, okay, I'm going to send this process, this thing, and it tells the kernel to just take away its memory and throw it away and recover it. It's really not the process itself doing it. It's the kernel responding to these underlying syscalls that are signals. In fact, we could probably do an strace, and I could show you the actual syscall for this. Does anybody know it? Does anybody know the syscall for the underlying signals being sent back and forth? I don't remember offhand. Syscalls are an entire C language of system interaction that is essential if you're going to do any kind of kernel development, but also if you're going to be tracing programs as a 0-day person or a forensics security person, you're going to have to know how to watch processes and tell what they're doing while you're watching them. And so yeah, there's a SIG trap, SIG abort, SIG bus, where SIG pipe. SIG pipe gets sent if your program is piping to another program, and then one of the pipes breaks. It'll send a SIG pipe. SIG alarm is commonly used to send a process a signal to tell it something to do within a certain amount of time. This is a really, we used to do this to survive back in the 90s. When scripts would go too long, we would set an alarm as soon as the script started and say, after 1 minute, you're done. In the Go world now, they're doing that with timed contexts and things like that, but we used to use alarms for that. And so you can still use alarms for that actually today. I'm just kind of talking about things you may not. I've never used any of these other signals. I've heard of term and user. You can make it so that you use, like, I think SIG user. Oh, SIG seg v. This is a seg fault. This is another memory one, illegal and seg fault. The one that you cannot recover from is -9. So kill -9 is often put in the same group as rm-rf in terms of commands. Nothing can respond to a kill -9. It means die in the most impolite way. I'm taking your life from you. All of these other ones can be trapped more or less, and they can be gracefully handled. And sometimes they don't even have to stop. They can just use it to say, hey, I got new information. In fact, SIG user, sending a SIG user signal to a process is a good way to say, hey, you got stuff over here. But another way to do that is to just put the stuff there and have it, pull that directory every once in a while to see if something's there. So using signals for communication for this kind of thing is not as common these days. At least I'm not seeing it so much. But using TCP communications over the network and, putting files in certain places, those kind of communications methods are kind of taken care of for us. You have to have permission to send some of these signals, right? So let's actually do that. Let's try to kill this running Python process. We're going to kill the Python. Wait, where am I? I don't know where I am even. All right, there we go. All right, so I got the thing going on. All right, so let's try to figure out which one it is. So we're going to do our pgrep Python, and I'm going to guess it's this one. and we're going to kill it. And when we get into coding, you can actually trap these so that they don't actually kill you. And so there we go. See, it received a sig int. It was not a keyword interrupt. That was a I think it sent it a. It said it terminated. So I wonder if it sent a different signal. It didn't tell us. You can actually trap the signals, and that's what I wanted to get to. So the last thing to read about, I'm not gonna be. There's no way I'm gonna be able to cover this. But if you look in my my scripts here, in one of my programs, this is Bash, so don't freak out. Let me see where the other one is. Fig, I think it is Figgle. Yeah. So must be. Yeah, I see F. Yeah, there it is. Okay. So this is in my and I'll give you a copy. It's in my F script, which is that's how I when I print stuff to the screen, something here, right? You just see what this did? So this is a copy of a shell script that has a trap in it. So it does a lot of magical things in here, some of which we're not going to talk about on the boost. One of them is it makes the cursor go away, right? It's looping, and when there was lowcat in there, it was putting color in there, even though I got a bug in that now. And it's doing something else though, because now when I do Control C, you see how it restored my cursor and made it all happy again? If I hadn't trapped the signal, it would have left it in the state of a problem. Now, there's no way I could possibly cover the trap here and all the STTY stuff that's involved in here, but I do want to point you to this example of a case where all of this is working together. So in this particular script, we have colors going on, which is a different thing. We have a loop, an infinite loop. It's an infinite loop because I know, because I'm going to Control C out of it. I expect to do that. We have, the iteration going on. We have the trap, which is a POSIX thing, as far as I know. And it is a trap. Yes, it is definitely a trap. And then so we have this. So what happens is, if you understand the trap command, man trap, I think is the one, you'll see that you have to call the trap, and this says, okay, if I get any sig ints or any sig terms, go ahead and empty them for the next time. So it sets up this trap, and if I send it a sig term or a sig int, it runs this code, which clears the screen, restores the cursor, exits the program, and then calls the trap again. If I didn't put exit in there, by the way, it would never end. I could do Control C all I wanted to, and I'd be stuck. And then I'd have to go for a kill-9 from another window to get rid of it. So when you start to experiment with processes and signals and stuff like that, it's going to be exciting, and it's kind of a fun place to be. And then the other piece of this is running stuff in the background. So any line with an ampersand behind it will run in the background. We already talked about this another day. So any line. So while true, do echo hello, sleep point for done. All right. So if I want to put an ampersand behind there, and now and now it'll just run. Oh no, I can't kill it. How do I kill it, people? It's the never-ending hello now. I'm like, I can actually do other commands. Watch. I can do man ls, but it'll still print it because it's in the background, right? So I can foreground it. No, I didn't quite do it. Or did it? Yeah, it did. Control C, I can kill it. So if you want to start something in the background, there are a lot of reasons to do that relate to performance too. If you have a number of edits you want to do on a bunch of files, and there's a finite number, you can fire off all of those automated edits or changes to the file with an ampersand after that, and it will cause your program to run, and it'll use all the cores of your system, and it'll do it all concurrently instead of waiting for one to finish. So better, yeah, okay. I'm just gonna put here judicious use of can improve concurrent tasks. So you can actually run, that's a bad idea. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you could do that if you want, but yeah, I need to be more precise with what I'm killing. Again, hopefully you're doing all this from a container, right? I'm not, but the whole point of going into containers head first on this is because if you're doing it from a container, you got nothing to lose. You can't break anything doing this from a container. So containers is the place for you to experiment and have fun and get crazy. So there is one little thing we're not going to be able to do. Some other stuff. We did skip the term interprocess communication. Let me just really briefly state that interprocess communication involves lots of ways for processes running programs to communicate. And we just talked about one tiny one, the signals right now, right? There are many, many other ways for things to communicate, but the conversation about signals falls under IPC. IPC is actually one of the primary reasons that languages like Rust are cited as not being as good as C, because one of the methods for interprocess communication is shared memory, and Rust does not allow that. I know that sounds like a mouthful, but as you're hearing about the conversation, just be aware, the boost is about knowing what to know, is be aware that you need to be able to describe eventually every method of interprocess communication, every technique for interprocess communication. And there are a lot of them. There's probably 6 or 7 or 8 that I can think of right now. We talked about pipes and redirection. We talked about standard input. We talked about FIFOs, first in, first out. We talked about Unix socket files. We talked about TCP/IP sockets, which are network related. We've talked about shared memory, where 2 programs share the same memory space and access it and coordinate the access of that space, which is by far the fastest possible IPC of any kind. And that's why, languages like C will continue to be used for the kernel and stuff like that. And then signals, sending signals back and forth, that's all brokered by the kernel. So all of that is related, and so don't let that bog you down, but just know what that is. And then I realized as we were going to talk about this that I needed to talk about exec. So as we can't talk about signals without ending in a conversation about exec. This is probably one of the most least known valuable techniques of all. And the reason you can tell is this. So let's say, you've seen all the programs that I've been using, right? So even the VIC program, right? Why do I have one-liners? Why do I put exec here? Why do I put exec there? Right? So why would I do that? 2 C++ programs, you just share memory. Yeah, you have root access to the memory and you can share it. That's also how a lot of the hacks have been done too. Like what was it? Heartbleed. Heartbleed was doing that. And quit out. Okay, no. So this is what you need to know. Exec okay. I don't know how to put this, so I'm just gonna write it. Including okay. So consider, I'll say, exec when exiting. Okay, so I don't know how to say this slowly. I'm going to try. When a process is running, there's memory, in memory, stuff that's running. The kernel knows about it. You'll have to wrap it inside unsafe blocks. Yeah, then why would you? We're not going to talk about that right now. So, and when you're running, so that process is running in memory, right? And it's using memory, and the kernel is handling signals for it, so it can receive signals and stuff like that. It has a number of resources, so every time it opens a file, it locks down the inode that goes with that file, and the resource that says, hey, I have this file, and there's finite numbers of all those things, right? So a finite amount of all those things. But when you have a process that's doing that, remember the tree that we saw? And then when it fires off another process that's underneath it, a subprocess, that subprocess has its own set of memory, signal handlers, files that it has open, file descriptors are called. It has its own set of things. And so when you have a program that's going to run another program like I do here, So I could have just done this, right? That would do exactly the same thing. Let's watch. I'll show you. Same thing, right? Same thing. Same exact effect, but not completely. And this is where I want to talk to you about exec. So what exec does is it takes the subprocess resources and memory and signal handlers and everything. So let's say I put a trap in the other one, right? And let's say I put the trap inside of this one up here, but not this one. Well, this one wouldn't trap the signal then, right? This one would. So what exec does is it's a very specific Unix thing. I don't believe Windows does this, and I'm almost positive Mac doesn't do it either. I know it's BSD, it might actually. So, but what it does is exec, when you exec a process, it starts up that process as if it had been started from the command line fresh, and it hands off its memory space to the caller, to this guy. So what was over here is now in here. Now, the reason that's important is because if you've set up any signal handlers or anything like that, they're now going to this new one. It inherits all of it. It inherits any open file descriptors. It inherits the environment. It inherits the, all of the other things. It replaces the running process. It inherits its process ID. So it has the same down here. This has a separate ID, right? Because it's a separate process. Well, when you exec it, this process remains the same. The process ID is the same and everything. And then this guy takes over. And why do you care? Well, the first reason to care about that is because when you're control C'ing and stuff like that, there are applications where if they're like VI or Vim or NeoVim or whatever, that if you do control C or whatever, the signal might not make it to the program because the program is actually running behind a parent shell. You'll know it when you hit it. I mean, occasionally the control C or whatever you want to do, it won't do the right thing because it's not running in the foreground. Another problem with that would be if you wanted to send input to the terminal, like right now, right? So these processes are all running in tmux. Well, if you have something that's running as a subprocess, there might be stuff that gets in the way between you and the terminal. Bottom line, if you know that you don't need to come back, right? If you know that you don't need to come back and that you want to hand off everything to this other program, use exec, all right? And that's not to be confused with eval, which you should never use. I can't think of any reason you should ever use eval. People use eval it's a different thing we'll talk about another day. So anyway, I know that seems like a lot to go into, but you'll be happier if you just remember to do that. It'll save you resources, but more importantly, it'll I mean, this one doesn't. It doesn't always have to do it, but it'll show you the right thing. So like, see here, this says VI, right? So that'll give you the right process IDs. That's actually one of the things that would change would be what tmux would see when it's running. All right, I'm 10-20 minutes over. Are there any questions there? Let me go back and read before we go up for the night. And we're going to be off and running. I'll try to decide if we're going to do some of the challenges next week. Coding seal. Hey Rob, just finished final years of exam. Applying for jobs. Yeah, show up a lot of places on it. And run a raise. Yeah. Well, I'm sure you'll figure it out. Yeah. You don't have to do what you got your degree in. I was a Russian major. Just saying, yeah. If you stay, like a dedicated autodidact and you're constantly learning and testing stuff, you can do whatever. Google Cloud certification, bachelor degree enough to become a cloud engineer. That is not a question that that is a question that I'll deal with a lot on in quite a while from now. It's called Good to Gig. The short answer is employment is about trust, and you need to establish trust with your potential employers, which means, one, you need to know where you want to work, what kind of company you want to work for. You can't just say, I want to work anywhere, I don't care. You can't do that. Sorry. You have to say what kind of work you want to be doing and generally speaking, what kind of company you typically kind of want to know about. You should do the research on that company, and you should do enough research on that company to establish what it is that they trust. If it's for the government and cybersecurity, you have to have certificates for X and Y. If it's for F security or whatever, they actually look down on certificates, and you want to do other things, whatever they are, to prove to them. So there is no recipe here. And probably one of the biggest mistakes that I think beginners and people are taught is that there is a recipe for a specific result. That it's never that way. Every single opportunity you're going to get out there, I think, is custom based on what you've researched, what you want to do, and the nature and needs of the employer. So find somebody who will trust you to pay you to do what you want to do. Find out what it is they trust. There's people working security for IBM. They hired them straight up at 16 with, 1 or 2 cybersecurity certificates. So it's different for everyone. And that's the thing. Google Cloud certification and a bachelor's degree. I definitely think that's enough to go for a cloud engineering degree, a cloud engineering position. I'm telling you right now, that's definitely enough. Assuming you know Linux and the terminal and all that other jazz. See, here's the problem. Certificates don't really prove anything. I don't know how many interviewing people I've talked to who have said, I've asked them point blank, what do you look for? You look for certificates. And they're like, we don't care about the certificate. It's nice. It's the most common response is the certificate is for HR, because the certificate gets you past HR filtering. And then you get in there and they'll talk to you, but they don't really care. And they want to see what you can do. I had actually LTN Bob told a story once about, a network engineer who had all the right paper. They brought him in, stuck him in front of a rack for training, and said, here, configure this configure this network, do this. He couldn't do any of it. He had no idea even where to plug the network in. So it's not about the papers for HR, basically. And that includes your degree, unfortunately. Yeah, you pretty much need a degree no matter what these days. I hate that, but exec is nice in Docker containers where you want a startup script that passes control to the other process. Exactly. Hot slack a boss. That's a great point. That is really, really great point. Yes. Yeah. Do you use that for your entry point? I imagine that's what you've been doing, right? Use that for your entry point in your Docker file. We're going to do Docker files. I've decided, I after much deliberation, after we learn shell scripting, it's so little work to add Docker files. We've already learned Docker, so it's so little work to add how to create a Docker file with your shell script that you can start building your own workspace containers, and you can kind of head into the container space, which is essential these days. It's in everything. It's in security. It's everywhere now. So you got to know that stuff. It's really a basic thing. And it's Docker files are not that hard once you have shell down. Academic research degree only teaches key vocab, just terms to get a front door. First 2 years of a job give you a finish. Absolutely. In fact, most organizations will, the ones that I've placed with and the ones that I've interviewed, Bloomberg, for example, they have an entire, sort of sub-department dedicated to getting new hires up to speed. And they give them like 2, 3, 4 months before they need to get to even the job I'm on right now. They hired me. I had told them straight up, I don't know any Kubernetes, and I'm scrambling as fast as I can to get Kubernetes under my belt. Tomorrow I got to talk about it some more but they know I got containers under my belt in 2 weeks. So I'm feeling good about that. But most companies understand that they cannot hire some of these unicorns that they want and they list in their job descriptions. Now, the flip side of that is people who spam their resumes to everyone. And that's horrible. Honestly, if you want a job, the best thing to do, and by the way, if you are going for cloud native and SRE, I have a recruiter. I'm not going to get any money from this. I just want you to know right away. I have a recruiter that I really trust, Avi. I love him to death. He's the one who helped me get this position. So the fastest way, I swear to God, the fastest way to get a job for a beginner is either an internship, if you can find one, you're lucky enough to do that, or find a company, find a recruiting company like Tech Systems or EDM or IBM or something, and get that recruiter working for you, because the recruiter is going to look past all of your flaws. I've even had recruiters show up on the interview, making sure my tie was on straight and stuff like that. So all of my best jobs have come through recruitment. There's only one case that wasn't true. And that was the one that I actually did my own recruiting, basically. I called them up and said, what do you need? What should I learn? And then I learned it, got my job. It doesn't always happen that way. My point is that the recruiters that got the good ones, there's a bunch of bad ones. Don't go to LinkedIn for recruiter. Please, please promise me you will not respond to any blind recruiters reaching out to you. Find somebody you trust. Me, whoever, somebody that you know is in the industry. Ask them, the good chance that they've got a relationship with a recruiter or they know somebody who has a relationship with a good recruiter. It's all word of mouth because it's all about reputation and honesty and trust and not trying to get away with stuff. And so you find that recruiter and then let them work for you while you're working on learning the skills that they're going to sell for you. It's kind of like being, like a basketball star or something, or a musician. They're getting you the gig while you're focusing on learning the skill. And this is particularly important if you're not good with people. And there are a lot of really amazing technologists, several of whom have been through my skill stack, who are horrible with people. So, that's fine. That's fine. You don't have to be good with people. Fine. I'm not particular. I enjoy people. I just tend to be grumpy. But, there's people who are born to be with, and if usually a good recruiter will have that skill. And so, the other thing that's great about a recruiter is that you go to a job fair. If you go to a job fair, a lot of times the recruiter's there. You can kind of vet the recruiters. And good chance, though, that if you've been doing your work and you have something to show for what you've been doing, and you don't just have paper, but you have passion, TM, RWX Rob, you don't just have paper, you have passion. You can prove it. You can prove it, then you'll get hired. You'll be a professional. Wait, we could add to that. We could add to that little couplet there. I could say, don't just have paper, but passion makes you a professional. What just happened? All right, so it's probably time for me to leave. This is when my stepson would start groaning, and my wife would be like, "Oh my God." Sorry to ask again, but I've used DuckDuckGo. Pass the file type to the Vim shell command. No, that's detected. Yeah, that's detected by the file. Yeah, and it's in my vimrc if you want to go look. Yeah, Vim is really picky about detecting it. You can actually add different file types. You can say, I want this file that normally isn't picked up as a particular file type. You can put that in your vimrc, but that is a different day. Just in case you're wondering, we're doing shell scripting before we jump into customization of vimrc and bashrc and all that stuff because scripting. Got somebody raising me to see if you could know anyone to reach out to. Before I open the floodgates on that, yes is the answer. So let's start by, I don't know whether email's better or Discord. I suppose probably a private Discord message first. And it's definitely a part of my mission. I definitely want to help you guys find work. You people find work. And it's part of why I do all of this. And so, and by the way, there's, the people who sponsor me are not going to get priority treatment over those or not. That's not how I am. I appreciate the sponsorships and the GitHub sponsors in particular, and all that, but I'm never going to hold you over the barrel for that. If you find that you want to thank me in some way, whatever way you like, for that, that'd be cool. But let's do that, because what I'm afraid of doing is, before I sign off on that, we're going to get to Good to Gig, right? I think the approach that I want to do is to have people collectively evaluate each other's resumes and profiles and packages in general. And I don't mean that to sound inappropriate. You need to look at each other's, your overall, what you look like to a potential employer. And I think we need to help each other by peer reviewing everybody else's and then adding in people who have experience to help with that. And that's why I'm going to mention the Discord. There is a job postings place in my Discord. My Discord is pretty much a ghost town because I'm never there, and there's all kinds of violations of HR and everything in there. And I can't take care of it. I've almost deleted it before, but if you'd like to go in there and send me a DM or post something. I mean, how do you really exit VM? Yeah, that's a pretty fun one. Been there for a while. So the reason I'm saying that is because I'm pretty sure as the volume increases and the number of people on participating on the beginner boost, that I could be overwhelmed pretty quickly with finding a new position. But I want to say one thing about this. If and when I ever come anywhere close to my targeted goals so that I can do this full time, the first thing I'm going to do besides hire people to handle the videos, the next thing I'm going to hire is people to coordinate with those seeking jobs and to broker for those who are doing the recruiting. Because I think that that's one of the things that still is missing from the overall process in the world out there, is there's just not really a healthy, I don't know. I maybe I'm just not finding him. I'm just, it's very hard to know how to get your foot in the door, and I want to put together a team that's all they focus on. That's it. And I believe that they've covered this there's another streamer who was there, and I'm so jealous. What's her name? She went to it used to be called Hacker School, and now they changed the name. Recurse Center in New York. So Recurse Center in New York is a sort of for-profit, but completely funded by the people that hire from them, coders retreat. You have to know how to code before you can go there, but they just go and hang out, and they have juniors and veterans and people. It's kind of like a book writing retreat, but for coders. And they all go and they hang out and they get to meet each other and everything. And at the end, there's no promise of employment or anything. It's not a boot camp at all. But at the end, they have a number of top recruiters and companies in New York and elsewhere, and they just pilfer everybody from the session for the Recurse Center. And I actually think that is probably the closest to the best possible way to help people find employment, because there's no guarantee you're going to get employment. You're going there without the pressure. People go there and just make really great friends, and they create these, lifelong bonds with people because they've been there for, 30, 40 days of pretty intense time together, just like when I went on my yoga retreat. And they get to know each other really well. And some of them are in the industry and some of them are just starting out. And so they kind of cross-pollinate, get to know each other. And employment, as I said, is about trust and community and connection more than anything else. And, you have to have the skills, but they have that. And then they kind of unofficially brought in contact with all these other outside agencies without promising employment. So those who are there are just to relax. There's like, senior people that go there to just relax. In fact, let me send it to you. There's actually another streamer, and when I saw that she went there, she was in the current batch of Recurse, I was like, oh my God, she might be streaming right now, actually. You should definitely watch her. She can tell you what it's about. You can tell that she's a Recurse Center person too, because she's like always pushing herself and trying things out without, she's just very autodidactic in her learning. I got to remember her name though. I don't remember. Let's see if I can go find it. And then I'll close up for today. Let's see. No, she's not on right now. I just remind me about it, and I'll mention her next time. I don't see her on right now. She's Asian. She has purple hair. Do you know? That describes like a million people, right? I can't find it. Does anybody know her? Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Let me give this some thought. The problem, Cass and everyone else, is that if everybody starts sending me resumes to forward to the recruiters, I'm not going to have time to do my job. So, I mean, I have to figure out what that's going to look like. But for now, just send it to me in Discord, private Discord, and we'll figure it out. Yeah. Do you know who I'm talking about, El Deuterino? I think you do know, right? Thank you for that. All right. I'm going to go ahead and close down this chat. I will be right back playing music as soon as this is over. I'll be probably wrapping up some Go programming on my command box tool, if you're interested in that. And And thanks for stopping by. Do all the regular things. Mostly though, tell your friends, so we can, spread the learning out there with other people. And I'll be posting any changes to the boost tonight. Hey, thanks. No, I'm glad you asked, Chaos. Please don't regret it at all. I've had a couple. I keep forgetting that I keep asking people to do this, and I actually do want to do that. And I would rather people send me the information saying, here's my skills, this is what I'm looking for, and just send it to me and have it be in my direct and have me not be able to get to it right away, than not send it, right? Because I was just on the phone with my recruiter just 2 days ago, and he said, yes, I have another SRE position. Let me know immediately who you got. And the problem is then I have to decide how much vetting do I have to do, how much is my name on the line by sending a recruit. And I need to do some soul searching about what that's going to look like. But oh yeah, I would never look at that stuff on screen. No, I don't look at, I don't do job related stuff on screen like that. If you feel like you want to do it's everybody's got their own ideas, right? Like right now, I can't put anything about my current position anywhere on the internet. So I get it. All right. See you later.